Found strange panties at my place. What I did next. The apartment was blessedly cool after the brutal July heat. I tossed my briefcase on the counter, the click of the latches echoing in the otherwise quiet space. Sarah wasn't home yet. Good. I could change and maybe get a head start on dinner. Pasta primavera, her favorite. The laundry room was off the kitchen, a cramped little space, but I appreciated having it in unit. I started sorting through the hamper, whites, colors. And then I saw them. A flash of crimson lace, whisper of silk. They were intricate. The kind of lingerie you see in glossy magazine ads, not the practical cotton blends Sarah usually wore. I picked them up, the fabric cool and slick against my skin. They were small, definitely not her size. My stomach dropped. Rational Liam, the architect who designed structurally sound buildings, tried to find a logical explanation. Maybe a friend had left them. But Sarah's friends weren't really the lingerie dropping type. A mix-up at the dry cleaner. Impossible, I do my laundry here. A growing, sickening feeling started swirling in my gut. It felt like I'd swallowed a handful of jagged glass. I shoved the panties to the bottom of the hamper, buried under a pile of my old t-shirts. I couldn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to think. I needed proof. She got home an hour later, radiating her usual energy. Hey babe, rough day at the office. She kissed me, a quick peck on the cheek. Too quick, maybe. I told myself I was being paranoid. Pasta primavera tonight, I said, trying to sound normal. Sounds amazing, I'm starving. She headed to the shower. While she was in there, the steam fogging up the small bathroom window, I did something I'd never done before. I snooped. Her purse, her work bag, her side of the closet. Nothing. No clues. No lingering scent of perfume that wasn't hers. Just her usual stuff, a half-eaten granola bar, a stack of business cards, a worn copy of her favorite novel. I cringed at this, glanced at her phone. Nothing blatant. No suspiciously frequent texts from unknown numbers. Just work emails and messages from her mom. I felt guilty. A wave of shame washed over me. Was I really that insecure? Was I letting a stray pair of underwear unravel 4 years of a seemingly solid relationship? But the image of the crimson lace kept flashing in my mind. I couldn't shake it. Dinner was quiet. I found myself studying her, searching for any sign of guilt, a nervous fidget, a fleeting glance, anything. She seemed normal. Too normal, maybe. God, I was spiraling. Everything okay, Liam? You seem distracted, she said, twirling spaghetti around her fork. Just a long day, I replied, forcing a smile. The next few days were torture. I was a detective in my own home, obsessively analyzing every detail of Sarah's behavior. Her schedule, her phone calls, her interactions with her coworkers when I happened to pick her up from work. I confided in Mark over beers one night. Mark, ever the pragmatist, just shrugged. Dude, confront her. Just ask her about the panties. I can't. What if I'm wrong? I'll look like a crazy, insecure boyfriend. Better than a cuckolded one, Mark said bluntly. I glared at him. Thanks, Mark, really helpful. Mark just sighed. Look, man, I'm just saying. Rip the band-aid off. Find out the truth. Ripping the band-aid off felt like tearing my own skin. I wasn't ready. Not yet. Instead, I started accidentally bumping into Sarah after work. Just thought I'd take you to dinner, I'd say, all casual. Really, I was trying to catch her in a lie. See if she was meeting someone else. See if she looked flustered. One evening, I was waiting outside her office building when I saw her get into a cab with her boss, David. David was a slick, silver-haired shark, the kind of guy who wore tailored suits and reeked of power. I hated him on sight. Client dinner, Sarah said later when I grilled her subtly, of course. David wanted to discuss the Peterson account. Oh, that's why you smelled like his cologne when you got home, I mumbled under my breath, but she definitely heard me. What was that? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Nothing, I said quickly. Too quickly. I was losing it. A week later, I was doing laundry again. The crimson panties were still there, lurking at the bottom of the hamper like a festering wound. I pulled them out, holding them up to the light. They were beautiful in a way. Expensive, clearly not something she would buy herself. I casually brought it up during dinner. Hey, remember that time I found those weird panties in the laundry? I chuckled, trying to sound amused. Still haven't figured out where they came from. Sarah's reaction was odd. She didn't laugh. She didn't seem surprised. She just kind of shrugged. Maybe one of your friends left them, she said, not meeting my eye. That was it. That was the crack. I could feel it widening. I needed more information. I needed to know where those panties came from. I checked the label. La Perla, high-end lingerie. There was a store in the shopping district downtown. The next day, I suggested we go shopping. Just to get out of the apartment, I said innocently. Oh, I was going to grab lunch with Brenda and run errands for work, but maybe some other time, Sarah said smoothly. Brenda, Sarah's co-worker, a gossipy middle-aged woman who knew everything about everyone. I'll join you. Sarah pursed her lips but agreed. The shopping district downtown it was. At lunch, Brenda greeted us with an over-enthusiastic hug. Sarah, you're looking radiant. Have you been to the Hamptons? Thanks, Brenda. Just trying out a new face mask routine. I looked at Brenda pointedly. Sarah here was thinking of doing some shopping after lunch for new lingerie. Brenda nearly choked on her water. I smirked inwardly. As soon as we were alone, I led Sarah past the familiar stores and window displays, making a beeline for the La Perla store. Her eyes widened slightly as she realized where we were going. Oh, I don't really need anything, she said quickly, trying to steer me in another direction. Just browsing, I insisted, pulling her inside. The store was opulent, all velvet and chandeliers. A sales associate approached us, her smile practiced and polished. Can I help you find anything? Yes, I said, my voice a little too loud. My girlfriend is looking for something special. I glanced at Sarah. She was pale, frozen. The sales associate led us to a display of lacy bras and panties. We have some beautiful new arrivals, she said, gesturing to a set of crimson lingerie that looked eerily familiar. Like those? I asked, pointing to the crimson set. Sarah finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Liam, let's go. But I wasn't going anywhere. The sales associate, sensing the tension, tactfully excused herself. What's going on, Sarah? I asked, my voice low and dangerous. She didn't answer. She just stared at the floor. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the scene in the lingerie store in my head. I knew deep down that something was wrong, terribly wrong. I did something I swore I'd never do. I hacked into Sarah's email. I know, it's a violation of privacy, crossing the line, whatever. But I was desperate. I needed the truth. It didn't take long. Buried in her inbox, amidst the marketing reports and meeting invites, was an email from David. Subject tonight. The email was short, cryptic. Can't wait. 8 p.m. The usual, my blood ran cold. I cross-referenced the email with her calendar. She had a client dinner scheduled for that night. The same excuse she'd used before. I felt a white-hot rage building inside me, a rage that threatened to consume me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break things. I wanted to hurt someone, but I didn't. I took a deep breath and forced myself to calm down. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction. I wouldn't lose it. I would get even. Mark, bless his oblivious heart, was full of terrible ideas. Key her car, dude, or, put sugar in his gas tank. I shot down every single one. I needed something subtler, something that would hurt her where it really mattered. Her career. That week, she had a huge presentation at work. The Peterson account. The one she'd supposedly had dinner with David about. I knew she'd been working on it for months. I also knew her password. It took me all of 10 minutes to subtly alter the data in her presentation. Just enough to make it look slightly off. Numbers that didn't quite add up. Projections that were a little too optimistic. Nothing that would be immediately obvious, but enough to raise eyebrows. The next day while she was at work, I used her computer again. She had left her email open, logged in. I found the perfect opportunity. I ordered a gross of adult diapers to her office. Paid for using her work email, delivery address her floor. It was anonymous. Petty, absolutely. Satisfying, immensely. The pranks escalated. I accidentally shrunk her favorite silk blouse in the wash. I changed her phone's language to Croatian. I hid her car keys before an important meeting, forcing her to take a very late Uber. Each act of sabotage chipped away at my guilt. It felt good to fight back, to take control. I was no longer the passive victim. I was a saboteur. Then came the bomb. While she was at dinner with her friends, I was still in the hacking mode to gather more data for a big surprise I was working on. I decided to look at old pictures on her iCloud. Buried deep within a folder of old vacation photos, I found it. A selfie. She had taken a picture of herself at the La Perla changing room, wearing exactly the same panties that I found in the laundry hamper. The selfie was dated 3 weeks before I found the panties in the hamper. Her face was lit with a mischievous grin, a little victorious smile. That was it, the final piece of the puzzle, the undeniable proof. I waited for her to get home, my heart pounding in my chest. I had the photo blown up, printed and framed. When she walked in, I was sitting on the couch, the framed photo displayed prominently on the coffee table. She stopped dead in her tracks. Her eyes widened. She paled. What is this? She stammered, her voice trembling. This, I said, my voice cold and hard, is proof. I told her everything. About hacking into her email, about altering her presentation, about the adult diapers, the shrunken blouse, the Croatian phone. I laid it all out, every petty, vindictive act. She stared at me, her eyes wide with shock and horror. You did all this? Yes, Sarah, I did, I said, standing up and walking towards her. And you deserved every single bit of it. She started to cry. Liam, I can explain. Explain what? Explain how you lied to me. Explain how you cheated on me. Explain how you wore those panties and posed for selfies. She broke down completely, sobbing uncontrollably. It was a mistake, she wailed. It didn't mean anything. A mistake. A one-time thing. Is that what you're going to tell me? I laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Don't insult my intelligence. She finally admitted it. She confessed to the affair with David, blaming the pressure at work and his constant advances. She claimed she was trapped, that she didn't know how to get out of it. So you decided to cheat on me instead? I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. She begged me to forgive her, promising it would never happen again. She said she loved me, that she couldn't live without me. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw nothing but lies and deceit. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved, was gone, replaced by a stranger. I told her to get out. She refused to leave, clinging to me, begging for another chance. I had to physically pull her off me and drag her to the door. As I was ushering her out, she finally said something that shut me up completely. I know about your little side project at the firm, Liam, the one you didn't tell anyone about. The one that's a conflict of interest with our company. My blood ran cold. How did she know? I had been so careful, David told me, she spat, seeing the look on my face. He knows everything. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I stood there, paralyzed, the weight of her revelation crushing me. My secret, the one I had so carefully guarded, was out, and it could ruin everything. The next few weeks were a blur of heartache and recriminations. I changed the locks, divided our belongings, and informed our friends and family about the breakup. The fallout was messy. Our mutual friends took sides, and the apartment felt hollow and empty without her. My reputation at work was damaged, due to her telling everyone about the affair and the events that lead up to the end of our relationship. I told everyone she was making things up to hurt me, but the relationship ended. Mark tried to be supportive, but even he seemed a little wary of me now. He'd gotten me into this mess with his terrible advice. He kept insisting it was all going to be okay, but I couldn't shake this feeling of betrayal and impending doom. I started to question my actions. Had I gone too far? Was my petty revenge worth the cost? I focused on my work, throwing myself into new projects. I reconnected with old friends, trying to rebuild my life. It was slow progress, but gradually I started to feel like myself again. One afternoon, I went to my usual coffee shop. Chloe, the barista, greeted me with a warm smile. Hey, Liam, long time no see. Everything okay? Yeah, Chloe. Just been busy, I said, forcing a smile. I heard about what happened, she said softly. With Sarah, I sighed. It's a long story. I know a little bit about it, she said. I used to date David. My eyebrows shot up. David? Sarah's boss, Chloe nodded. He's not a good guy. He's manipulative and controlling. I left him because I couldn't stand it anymore. She told me stories about his predatory behavior, his constant pressure on female employees, his twisted sense of power. I realized then that Sarah had been in a dangerous situation, that David had been taking advantage of her vulnerability and ambition. Maybe my petty revenge had been misdirected. Maybe I should have gone after David instead. As I was leaving the coffee shop, Chloe stopped me. Liam, she said, be careful. David doesn't like to lose. I felt a chill run down my spine. A few weeks later, I got a call from Sarah. She sounded different, subdued. Liam, she said, her voice barely a whisper. I need your help. She told me that David had been threatening her, trying to blackmail her with compromising photos he had taken without her consent. She was terrified. Despite everything that had happened, despite the lies and the betrayal, I couldn't leave her to face him alone. She needed me. And maybe, just maybe, I needed her too. Where are you? I asked. She told me. I hung up the phone and headed straight for my car. This wasn't about petty revenge anymore. It was about something much bigger, something much more important. As I was driving, my phone rang again. It was Mark. Dude, you won't believe this, he said breathlessly. I found a pair of crimson lace panties in my laundry hamper.